Hello, my name is Father Cali LLAMADO, and I am the Vice Rector here at the Manila Cathedral. Welcome to the mission series of the Catholic Creative Conference. Today, let's talk about fishing through the net, social media evangelization. Let's begin. Maybe you are already conscious about the title and somehow parang alam nyo na kung ano yung topic nitong aking talk. Fishing through the net. First, let us look at the word fishing. Obviously, we got this from the gospel passage when Jesus was calling his first disciples and telling them that I will make you fishers of men. So the action of fishing, the word fishing, is to catch, to become fishers of men. And the word net is not just referring to the net from fishing, but now in our talk, we are referring to the internet. And fishing through the net, meaning we are catching men, we are preaching the gospel through the internet, social media evangelization. And today I want to talk to you, to young people who are actively preparing, doing the ministry in the social media evangelization. And I have some points for reflections for you, especially those who are working in our social media ministries. The first point of reflection that I would like to talk about is, I think, for all of us in the social media evangelization ministry, it is very important that first, we are reminded and we remember that it is Jesus himself who is the first fisher of man. It is not us. It is first of all Jesus who is the fisher of men. We see in the gospel passage that it was Jesus himself who was the first who caught Peter, Simon, Andrew, and the other disciples. So we see there that we are not the first fishers. It was Jesus who is the first fisher of men. And so I would like all of us to remember that in our social media ministry, we need to have and to be reminded that Jesus is the first fisher of man. And the question is, are you caught by Jesus? Is your heart already in the net of Jesus? I think for many times, we are so busy thinking about our programs, what are we going to do in the social media ministry, ano ba yung mga activities natin, nakapila lahat yan, no? Busy-busy tayo sa kakaisip, paano ba magiging creative itong ating activity, paano ba magiging creative yung ating video presentation ng ating live programs. So lahat ng ito, no, parang nagiging busy yung isip natin, baka makalimutan natin ang pinaka-importante sa lahat, at yun ay ang tayo ay magpahuli kay Jesus. We need to be caught in the net of Jesus. Our hearts must be caught by Jesus. Ito siguro yung unang-unang magandang paalala natin sa mga nagtatrabaho sa social media ministry. Minsan sa sobrang busy natin, baka makalimutan na natin si Jesus. At kakaisip natin paano tayo manghuhuli ng mga tao para kay Jesus, baka ang makalimutan natin, tayo pala, hindi pa pala tayo nagpapahuli kay Jesus. So I think the first reminder, very important reminder to everyone to remember, Jesus is the first fisher of man. And if we want our social media ministry to be effective, if we want our social media ministry to be meaningful, then we must be rooted in Jesus. We must allow ourselves to be caught in the net of Jesus. My dear brothers and sisters, that is my first point for reflection. My first question for all of you. Nahuli ba kayo ni Jesus? Ang atin bang puso ay nabighani ni Jesus na ang pinakaunang nangingisda ng mga tao? The second point for reflection that I would like to propose for our social media ministers and for all of us who are listening, the second point of reflection is I would like to get from the version of the Gospel of Luke. In the Gospel of Luke, we see a different version of this story compared with the other Gospel passages. We see in the Gospel of Luke that before Jesus asked Peter, Andrew, and the other disciples to join him, Jesus told them to put out into the deep. This is a special version in the Gospel of Luke. Before Jesus caught them or called them, Jesus first asked them to put out into the deep your nets so that you could catch fish. I would like to emphasize this word of Jesus, putting out into the deep waters. Palalimin ang ating social media ministry, putting out into deep waters. I know this will be difficult for many of us. How can we sustain the social media ministry after so many months? How can we deepen always our ministry? Alam niyo po, kapag ngayon nakakailang buwan na tayo sa ating ministry, no? Nagsimula tayo noong lockdown noong March, nagsimula yung naging very active ang social media ministry. After some months, alam ko, kagaya ko rin, no? Darating din sa punto na parang nagda-dry out na, no? Ano pa bang pwede nating sabihin? Ano pa bang pwede nating gawin, no? Parang minsan nakakatamad, minsan nakakasawa na. Siguro maganda naman na ipaalala sa atin ni Jesus palagi ito, no? Put out into deep waters. There is always an opportunity to go out into the deep, to deepen our ministry. How can we make this ministry deeper? And I put forth that question, that challenge of Jesus to you. At first, remember, in the gospel passage, Peter and the other disciples and the other fishermen were hesitant to go out into the deep. Ayaw po namin. No? Kasi iniisip nila, wala naman tayong makukuha kahit pumunta tayo sa deeper waters. At first, they were hesitant to go out into the deep. But they put their trust in Jesus. And then they were surprised. After going into deep waters, there they caught more fish. My dear brothers and sisters, if we go deeper, if we put forth into deep waters, there will be more fish there. We need to go into deep waters. You know, I was surprised because in the past weeks, in the past days, we have seen typhoons, storms coming into our country, devastating a lot of portions of Luzon. And you know, for the past days, I was surprised because the social media pages of the church, even the small ones, you know, mayroong mga maliliit lang na social media pages, siguro nagkasundo lang yung mga kabataan, let's put up this social media page. I was surprised. They were initiating a a relief fund donation drive for those who are devastated by the storms. Sabi ko, ang liliit lang ng mga social media pages na ito, but they were able to gather, enough funds for them to help others. And I think we are going in the direction of Jesus telling us to go forth into deep waters. Parang maganda yung nangyayari na sa ganitong pagkakataon na nagkakaroon ng pagsubok, nagkakaroon ng devastation, yung ating social media ministry ay lalong lumalim. Hindi lang siya naging instrumento ng pagpapahayag ng salita ng Diyos, kundi naging instrumento rin siya ng pagtulong, pagbabahagi sa kapwa. My dear brothers and sisters, my dear young people, let us heed the call of Jesus. Put out into deep waters. I know some of you may be hesitant. Some of us may have grown tired already after months of this social media ministry. But let us heed, let us try, let us answer the call of Jesus. Put out into deep waters. My third point for reflection, the third and last point of reflection for our social media ministers, I would like to focus now on the image of the net. As we all know, the word internet comes from the word net, the imagery of the net. Kapag tiningnan natin yung net, yung ginagamit ng mga mangingisda, it is an interconnection of threads. That is why the internet comes from that word, net, because it is an interconnection of different people, different signals, different waves coming together to form a net. And my dear brothers and sisters, the net is a sign of interconnectedness, of communion. And I think if we use the internet well, if we look at the image of a net, then we could be reminded that social media ministry, our efforts in social media is to connect one another. Remember, our social media ministry, our social media pages are not there to divide or to cause battle among us. No. The social media ministry is there to foster communion, interconnectedness with one another. Siguro magandang halimbawa dito yung aming sarili na pinagdaanan, dito sa Manila Cathedral na aming naging social media ministry. Aaminin po namin, before the pandemic ay mahina naman yung social media ministry namin dito. In fact, we do not even broadcast our masses live. But because of this pandemic, I can say that we are forced to do this social media ministry. But it has become also for us a blessing. Nagulat kami dahil ang bilis ng pagdami ng mga nanonood sa live mass ng Manila Cathedral, and we were surprised to know that we are now connected with Christians in, for example, in Malaysia. Malaysian Christians are watching our live mass here at the cathedral. There are so many others who are watching from India, from Singapore, even from Europe, from the US. And we were surprised because they were messaging me, we have not been to the Philippines. It is our first time to see the Manila Cathedral, at least online. And they say, Father, after the pandemic, I wish to go there and meet you. So, the net, the internet now, has become an instrument of connecting with one another. Interconnectedness. And there are many people, even those around Metro Manila, those who are even outside Manila, people who are already connected to the Manila Cathedral because of this online ministry. And we are very thankful for this ministry. At marami nga nagsasabi sa amin, Father, we promise, after this pandemic, dahil napanood na namin online ang inyong misa, gusto namin makita kayo personally at makita rin ang Manila Cathedral personally. At nagpapasalamat ako dito dahil isa itong napakagandang biyaya ng Diyos na tayo ay nagkaroon ng connection. And I may not know you personally. Those who are watching, messaging me, I do not even know you personally, but I feel I'm already connected to you. And when you come here, I am sure I will be very happy to see all of you because there is this now a connection between us. But let us remember also, my dear brothers and sisters, that the net is not an end in itself. The net is a means to gather the fish. What is important is not only the net, but we must also focus on the fish that will be caught. In the end, the net, the internet, social media becomes only a means. It is an important means, but it is a means to the end. And the end is we catch the fish. Kaya nasabi ko nga na kapag natapos ang pandemic, sana yung mga nanonood sa amin online ay makita rin namin ng personal, ma-meet namin ng personal. Then we are able to say, these are the fish that the net has caught. And so when you are in social media ministry, when you are fishing through the net, remember that the net is an important tool, but we need to focus also on catching the fish. The fish, the people of God, meeting them personally, having interconnectedness personally also. My dear brothers and sisters, those who are watching us, especially the young people, those who are really involved in this social media ministry, these are the 3 points that I would like us to ponder on. First, remember that Jesus is the first fisher of man. If we want to become meaningful fishers of men, then first, allow yourselves to be caught by the original fisher of man, Jesus. Second, the message of Jesus of putting out into deep waters. We need to allow ourselves to respond to the call of Jesus to put out into deep waters. Palalimin palalo ang ating social media ministry. Darating ang panahon na parang mauubusan na tayo ng idea, kumapit kay Jesus, tumugon kay Jesus. Palalimin palalo ang ating ministry. And lastly, the image of the net. It is a powerful tool of Jesus to catch people. But remember that this interconnectedness through the net is not an end in itself. We also need to focus on the fish, the people that we are able to catch through the net. My dear brothers and sisters, let us allow ourselves to focus on this social media ministry, fishing through the net. Thank you for being part of this workshop. Remember, you are made good and you are made for good works. I hope that you have learned a lot from this, and I pray that you may use your God-given passions to fulfill the mission that He has entrusted to you. Make sure to watch the other workshops in the mission series as well. Thank you and God bless.